Stop thinking you need to leave your 9-to-5 to get rich. I didn't build wealth by leaving my 9-to-5. I built wealth by leveraging it with a proven system that works. It's a repeatable path that turns your paycheck into ownership and ownership into freedom. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can build wealth with a common salary and a real life.
If you think your 9-to-5 is stopping you from getting rich, I'm going to completely flip that idea on its head. Because the truth is your salary might be the most powerful wealth building tool you'll ever have if you use it the right way. There are a specific set of steps that I took, and that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. Starting with step 1, getting the absolute most out of your current job. Here's what most people don't realize. Let's say you live in the UK and you started your job in 2020 on a salary of $40,000. You've been doing well, maybe even taking on more responsibility, but you haven't had a pay rise since then. So I just checked the Bank of England's inflation calculator, and your $40,000 from 2020 would need to be around $51,109 today just to have the same spending power. And this isn't just a UK thing, it's a similar story all over the world. This US inflation calculator shows that a $20,000 salary in January 2020 would need to have risen to nearly $25,000 to have the same buying power today. So if your salary hasn't budged in the last 5 years, you've effectively taken a pay cut. Which means if you're trying to build wealth from your 9-to-5, you can't just earn a set amount of money year on year. You have to protect it from inflation too. There are a few ways you can do just that, and I'll explore them in this video. But one of the most consistent and effective ways, probably the easiest way as well, is by negotiating a pay rise. Now, one of the mistakes a lot of people make here is that they use rising house prices and the cost of living as a reason that they deserve a raise. While I do think in a perfect world, employers would increase workers' pay automatically, at least to keep up with inflation, at least when all of our living costs are going to go up, it's just the right thing to do. The reality is very different. Your boss probably doesn't care because their priority is protecting their business and making a profit. And so if you want to get a pay rise, you need to emphasize the benefits that you bring to the company. Start with keeping a running list of your wins, projects that you've completed, revenue that you've generated, problems that you've solved. When I worked in banking, I had a specific folder in my emails where I also saved any positive feedback from other teams. Sounds simple, but makes a huge difference because 6 months later, when your review time came around, I wasn't just sitting there trying to remember what I'd done. That way, you've got actual data to back up your request, not just, oh, I've been working really hard. Next, find out how much people are earning in similar roles at other companies with tools like Glassdoor, Indeed, LinkedIn. If you find that you're underpaid, that gives you even more leverage in a negotiation. But whatever you do, don't give your boss an ultimatum unless you're genuinely ready to see it through and to leave. Threatening to quit if they don't give you a raise rarely ends well. And if you say it but don't follow through, you've just torpedoed any credibility you had. So if you're going to play that card, you need to be prepared to actually walk out the door. Asking for a raise is scary, I know, but it's worth it and you can do it.
So step 1, I want you to walk in with receipts. Before you say a number, show your numbers. Revenue you drove, costs you reduced, time you saved, fires you put out. If you can't quantify it, it doesn't exist. And if it's already in your job description, that doesn't mean that you deserve more. Unfortunately, that's just what you're paid for. Step 2, anchor high, ask for feedback. You don't ask, you anchor. Based on my output and market data, I'm targeting X. Can I present ways I think I could get there? Then let them meet you there. They might say it's totally ridiculous. You go, sorry, okay. How do we meet in the middle? Step 3, never negotiate just your base pay. I want you to anchor high. Everyone else stacks on top of this. Then we've got bonus structure, revenue or profit based, milestone bonuses. So if I launch this, deliver this, win this, I get paid. Tiered performances. So 90% payout if I do X, 130% if I 3X that. Equity or phantom equity if you are the most successful or useful person to the team. Then you can ask for real upside, especially if you drive consistent results for years. Step 4, make it easy to say yes. Good negotiators reduce friction. Say, if we hit these metrics by this date that are above and beyond what we already wanted to, can we have a comp adjust automatically? Can we have a meeting about it? No emotion. This is a discussion, not a negotiation. Step 5, negotiate timing, not just amount. This is written milestone triggers, pre-agreed raises or bonuses. Delayed money with certainty beats hoped for money. Number 6, don't threaten, ever. Create optionality. Never say, I'll leave. You could say, Here's the value I create. I'd love to figure out how to get the next unlock in the next 6 to 12 months. Is that reasonable? The strongest position is you're calm, you have options, you don't need to force anything. And then ask for what you're missing.
And that leads me to step 2, switch for a better salary. Not many people like to hear this, but you might think that loyalty pays, but in reality, people who switch jobs tend to have a much higher wage growth than people who stay in the same position. And this is something that researchers have confirmed again and again. The Atlanta's Federal Reserve's wage growth tracker compares the percentage wage growth of job switchers versus job stayers and shows that in almost all months since 1998, people who switch jobs have a higher wage growth than people who stay in the same position. As this NASDAQ article explains, the only significant exceptions have been in the wake of recessions, which tend to create a short-term preference for stability. And what's really interesting is that job switchers' wage growth can compound over time. NASDAQ explains a worker who changes jobs and receives a 5% raise has increased their earning power. By changing jobs later on, they might receive another 5% raise and another after that, ending up 15.7% ahead of where they started. Each raise compounds the value of the last one. In this way, changing jobs can increase a worker's lifetime income considerably.
You didn't come to play, so this is you. You work your tail off, keep track of your wins, and every year at your review, you lobby hard for a 5% raise. At year 3, you've maxed out, the company won't give you any more, so you jump to a new company and get a 10K pay bump, and you keep getting raises and keep requesting more. So smart negotiations and one job jump gave you the equivalent of a down payment or the ability to wipe out credit card debt.
Step 3. Escape the golden handcuffs. We all know how easy it is to become trapped in a low-paying job and feel like it's just difficult to get out. But not many people realize until it's too late that it's also possible to become trapped in a high-paying job as well. There's even a name for it. It's called the golden handcuffs. It's when a job pays you so well or gives you so many perks that it becomes really hard to leave, even if you hate it. Maybe you've got a 6-figure salary, a generous annual bonus, private healthcare, or a final salary pension. At first, taking this kind of job feels amazing. You've made it, it's everything you wanted. But over time, the comfort you get from the higher income can turn into immense pressure. What often happens is that as your income rises, the expectations rise too. You start working longer hours, taking on more responsibility, telling yourself it's worth it because of the money. But before you know it, you could end up stuck in a job that you absolutely hate and you're scared to leave because of the potential knock on your financial security or the lifestyle that you've built. It's a trap that so many high achievers fall into. And it's not just because of the money itself, it's the lifestyle that comes with it. You upgrade everything around you, from your home, your car, your holidays, your social circle. Everything changes, and soon your whole identity is built around maintaining that level of success. So even if you're miserable, the idea of quitting just feels impossible. And in fact, in an interview with the BBC, one Canary Wharf banker said, I got sucked into the prestige and that it made me sound impressive to others. And I'd become so used to the type of numbers people made in banking being normal that I assumed that was just how much you needed to be financially okay. It sounds familiar. That's the bad news. The good news is that there are ways to loosen the golden handcuffs grip, because unlike the trap of low-paid work, high-paid work gives you everything you need to build financial independence. So here are 3 steps to protect yourself if you find yourself in this position. First, pay yourself first. Don't make the mistake of saving what's left after spending. Instead, spend what's left after saving. Automate your savings and investments so that a set percentage of every paycheck is sensibly tucked away before you even think about touching it. Second, avoid lifestyle inflation. It can be tempting to upgrade almost everything you have, from your car to your holidays, with every single pay rise. And this is exactly what keeps you trapped. When your income goes up, instead, try to keep your spending roughly the same and then just save and invest most of the difference. You don't have to do this forever. It's just until you've bought enough of a buffer to be able to leave your job if you are seriously unhappy. Third, build an exit plan. Even if you love your job right now, set aside a safety net. That could be an emergency fund, investments that generate passive income, or a small side project that can grow into something bigger later.
There are 3 main levers that you can actually adjust to hit $1 million. Lever number 1, how long you invest for. Now, time truly is the most important thing you have on your side. I've now been investing in the stock market for over 25 years. With more time, my investments start to earn more interest. That interest and the principal, that money compounds, meaning I make even more money. It's like rolling a snowball down a hill. It just gets bigger and bigger. At a certain point, you can't stop it. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say you have a salary of $50,000. If you invest 15% of your gross income, that's $7,500 a year, and you invest it for 30 years, you're gonna have about $750,000. But if you invest for 4 years more, just 4 more years, you'll have just over $1 million. And it grows even faster after that. Do you see that the real gains come at the end, not at the beginning? And notice in these examples, I'm not assuming any salary increases, which of course is likely. I'm not assuming you get married, which would mean you have a higher household income and you can invest more. This is a super conservative calculation. You can try it yourself. The lesson here, don't put off investing. In fact, every single day you are not investing aggressively, you are losing a tremendous amount of money because time and compounding are on your side. So now that you understand time is your first lever that you can pull and push to wealth, what's another lever you can adjust to become a millionaire faster? Well, that brings me to lever number 2, how much you invest. If you invest $425 a month, or basically $14 a day, starting at the age of 25, you will easily be a millionaire by the time you're 65. Look at the math. In 40 years, with a low 0.1% management fee, assuming a 7% return, you'd have over $1 million. This is very straightforward. Not what won't work. If you want to come up with 50 reasons something won't work, guess what? You're right. It's not going to work. I can't help you. But if you want to know how it works, I'm showing you one way that you can become a millionaire faster. That's by increasing the amount you invest. Now, one of the easiest ways to do this is to increase your investment rate by 1% per year. For example, if you first contribute 5% of your income, create a little rule for yourself. The next year, contribute 6%, then 7%, and every year increase it by 1%. That single decision alone would make you hundreds of thousands of dollars, more than all the lattes you will ever buy in your entire life. Also notice that because it's a percentage, as you make more money, you will also invest more money. It's a beautiful rule to have in your financial life. And of course, there are a lot of other ways that you can increase your investments. You can keep your housing expenses and your car expenses low so you can invest more. When you're married, you can have 2 incomes that can go towards your investments. You can negotiate your salary and then send 80% of that increase to your investments. Take the other 20 and have a great time. You can earn money with a side business, like we teach in our Earnable program. Take that money and invest it. Listen up and listen closely. You have less control over this, which is why it's lever number 3. So this really should not be your priority, okay? A lot of financial freaks online, they go around thinking, I'm gonna get 18%. I heard of Renaissance technology. It's possible. If he did it, I could do it. No, you can't. You pretty much cannot. I'm gonna tell you right now. You want honesty? This is honesty. We know from history that the market returns about 11% per year. That's the nominal return, minus about 3% per year of inflation, which is 8%. 8% is the real return, meaning post-inflation. Now we're gonna just use 7% to be conservative. It's like if you're running a race, put a weight vest on, because when you run the real race, take that vest off and it's gonna be easy. So we're assuming 7% per year returns on average based on decades of history. You can find the research in my book. The point is, for everyone who's about to write me a comment named Dividend Investor 22222, do me a favor, close your account and never post online again. First of all, why are you dividend investing at age 22? It makes no sense. Second of all these dividend freaks, they really think they're gonna get 20 to 25% returns. These folks, they live in the middle of nowhere and they're like, I'm a PE investor, private equity. It's all about IRR. I'm like, can I be honest? Those PE firms don't want your $18,000 investment. Trust me. Is this video just one of Ramit Sethi's grievances after another? Because if so, this is my favorite video of all time. I'll do this all day. Dividend investors, drop shipping nuts on TikTok. Get real, okay? I don't need a picture of you on a fake boat. They go out on a rental in Santa Barbara. It's like $150. They get a boat rental on Yelp, and they're like look at me on my yacht. It literally has the name of the touring company on the side. I'm like, you're the worst at lying. You're so bad at this. You can find the research in my book on why we assume 7 to 8% returns. The point is you're not magically gonna get 15% returns, so don't even bother. In fact, don't even worry about changing your investment return assumptions. I myself use 7% for my assumption. Now, there is one thing that will alter your investment returns, and that's paying fees. For example, if you're investing but you're paying a financial advisor 1% of your returns, you're actually dramatically reducing your returns. For example, a 1% fee translates over the long term to about 28% of your lifetime returns. That means you're gonna pay over 25% of your returns in fees. So I always recommend that you pay a flat fee or an hourly rate, never a percentage if you choose to work with a financial advisor.
When you think of a millionaire, you usually don't think of someone who has a very common job like being a waiter, a security guard, or a janitor. But just because somebody doesn't have a prestigious job that pays them a lot of money, it doesn't mean that they can't become a millionaire. Take, for example, this CNBC article which details 3 janitors that went on to become self-made millionaires, and the most interesting case out of all these was the story of Ronald Reed. Ronald spent the majority of his life as a gas station attendant and a janitor, not earning a very high salary. In fact, according to ZipRecruiter in 2025, the national average salary of a janitor is about $15.89 per hour, and that roughly equates to about $32,000 per year. So how's it that someone like Ronald, who made below the median and average salary in the United States, able to become a millionaire? Well, I found that that was not even the craziest part of this story. The crazy part is that he kept his fortune a secret until he passed away in 2014, and that's when his friends and family were shocked to find out that his portfolio was valued at nearly $8 million.
No idea he was wealthy. The very fact that he could accumulate that kind of wealth by being careful and investing well is remarkable.
So how did he do it? Well, in today's video, I'm gonna run through the 4 pillars you must understand that will make you a millionaire even if you have a low salary. Now, if you're able to implement all 4 pillars into your life, I know that you're going to achieve incredible things, including that elusive 7-figure mark. So the first major pillar is frugality, or I like to actually call this ensuring every dollar has a place. When you have a low salary, you need to really rely on being frugal, and that's the only way you're going to be able to save a percentage of your income and eventually have money work for you. The dictionary definition of frugal is to, quote, be careful about spending money or using things when you do not need to. In other words, we want to make sure that we're getting the most value out of every dollar, pound, euro, or whatever currency it may be, because especially in the beginning of your wealth building journey, the beginning is going to be the hardest. So a small example of being frugal in my personal life is using the McDonald's app on my phone. They usually have rotating categories of different rewards and deals within the app. Like, for example, you could get a buy one breakfast sandwich, get one free, or my usual favorite deal is getting an iced coffee for 99 cents. The normal price of iced coffees are usually $2.55, and that's more than double the price. So I think that's a pretty good deal. You save $1.55 just for using the app, and while that $1.55 is not going to change your life dramatically, I find that this behavior is a small representation of my overall financial behavior. Personally, I'm always trying to get the best possible deal if I can, and every dollar matters. Another point about frugality and having a low salary is that when it comes to being a millionaire, you can still make good progress focusing on how much you save rather than how much you make. I have a friend, for example, he makes over $700,000 a year. That's a mind-blowing amount of money. But if you peek behind the curtain, he actually has less than $50,000 in his savings account, and he only saves about $20,000 per year. He's got a 30-year mortgage that's slightly out of his budget. He's got 3 cars that he's making payments on with his wife, and he spends money like it's water. We probably all have this friend that lives a little bit too lavishly. He makes a lot of money, but he's only saving a very small percentage of his income. I would argue if you're trying to save $20,000 a year, you could probably do the same thing with a much lower salary. Some people could even do it on a $50,000 salary. So what I really think matters here is that you have a really high effective savings rate, and you can do that by being frugal. I would say being frugal does not mean being cheap. You don't have to be frugal forever, but I would say to really get the ball rolling with investments, you need to be thinking critically about how all your decisions are around money, no matter how small they seem. Then with your savings, you can do what Ronald Reed did, which was to actually invest the money for the long term. And
Manage your money. This is where we build your foundation. Emergency fund, insurance, getting rid of big expensive debt like credit cards. Because the trap is if your income rises but your lifestyle rises just as fast, you're losing the game, you're not winning it. So We've got to live below our means for a minute. And the key here isn't willpower, it's automation. If you see the money, you'll spend it.
America's smallest millionaire is about to become a big-time spender.
So I want you to set systems that move it before you touch it. This is auto transfer to savings, auto transfer to your brokerage, retirement, right when your paycheck hits.